Up next, we have this guest commentary from Richard Curtis.
Open your mouth for the dumb, for the rights of all the unfortunate. Open your mouth, judge righteously, and defend the rights of all the afflicted and needy. That's Proverbs 31, 8-9. I think it's about time for us to get seriously concerned about the state of the Supreme Court. In particular, I am personally deeply concerned about Justice Anton Scalia, who seems recently to have lost his ability to reason. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems to me that the ability to reason logically is sort of important for a Supreme Court justice. Some may be wondering what tipped me off that Scalia is not all there anymore. Justice Scalia attended a conference on politics and the public good in Rome at the beginning of May, and commented, quote, "The allure of socialism for Christians is that it means well, that it is altruistic, but it can also deprive Christians of a chance for sanctification." Which is all well and good. Christians are supposed to do good deeds, and capitalism does provide ample opportunities, whereas socialism, because it provides for the public good, doesn't need Christians for people to live well. In socialism, there is no need for Christian charity. Socialism is the economics of Christ and Christian living. And all those who had believed were together, and they had all things in common, and they began selling their property and possessions, and were sharing them with all as anyone might have need. That's Acts 2, 44-45. In a socialist system, Scalia laments, there are no poor and oppressed for whom the rich may do token deeds of goodwill. Scalia must have lost his mind. Is he actually implying that a society in which there are plenty of open wells, for example, into which unsuspecting elderly women are pushed, would somehow be morally superior because such a society would offer Christians the chance to rescue the victims? I think that is what he's saying. In fact, in the same speech, he maintained that although capitalism encourages, in fact demands, the elevation of the cardinal sin of greed to become the guiding principle of society, this same elevation of greed allows religious-oriented aid groups to flourish. Which is also true, but about the most perverted defense of the cynical evil of capitalism I have ever read. Scalia is actually saying that a system which oppresses the vast majority of people, values only greed, and results in the destruction of planetary environments and the violent suppression of hundreds of millions of people is a better system because it provides an opportunity for Christians to do charity. By this logic, Nazi Germany had the highest form of government because it provided such varied opportunities for people to do good deeds. If good Christians didn't end up dead themselves for trying. But hey, that just shows the sincerity of Scalia's do-gooders, because they could be gassed along with those needy souls that were lucky enough to be on the receiving end of the charity. There is a sickness in our society, and I think Scalia has illustrated it, embodied it with perfection. Right-wing thinking and class collaborationist attitudes have become commonplace in our society. So much so that the newspaper in which I encountered Scalia's remarks had the audacity to title the piece, "Justice Wraps Socialism," rather than the more appropriate, "Justice Embarrasses Self in Public." Although it is interesting to note that the context of Scalia's remarks was the observation that socialist ideas are gaining more and more prominence around the world as people discover the inherent barbarism and senseless cruelty of capitalism. It is also interesting that Scalia concedes that socialism offers the only hope of significant improvements in society, where capitalism requires that large numbers of people suffer from poverty, sickness, and alienation. Scalia is concerned that the ruling class he represents is falling from grace, which is true historically, though it is difficult to say how long it will take. But if he's really concerned about sanctification, perhaps Justice Scalia should try being part of the solution instead of being part of the problem. For he will deliver the needy when he cries for help, the afflicted also, and him who has no helper. He will have compassion on the poor and the needy, and the lives of the needy he will save. He will rescue their life from oppression and violence, and their blood will be precious in his sight. That's Psalm 72, 12-14. And I'm Richard Curtis.
And this is KGNU Boulder. We welcome your comments